Message War 2022. It has started inside the Pac-12 Conference. Welcome to emergency episode 54 at College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We were not going to do an emergency episode today. Definitely we were not going to do it today. This is episode 54. Earlier today, we released a recording we did last night, episode 52, on Oregon being extremely aggressive in conference realignments with the Big Ten. Now, and we have episode 51 being released early evening in regards to our picks in week 4 against the spread. But we have to do episode 54 in light of what George Kliavkoff said on the Canzano and Wilner podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple. Go give it a listen. We got to respond to this. This is truly an unbelievable message war, and I think a huge mistake from the Pac-12 commissioner. Go back. If you haven't listened to our episode 52, please do so in regards to Oregon being extremely aggressive in Big Ten talks, because we have always been transparent here at Peek Around the Corner as we've reported on this story to you, in that the information we get, the intel we get is from the money perch of college football. This came from Oregon's money perch, and they wanted this information out. And we've always been transparent. That there's motivation behind the information given to us. We do not release everything we get. We have to be careful, but we do release what we believe is real. And this is definitely real. Go back to episode 52. It was released this morning. Go on a YouTube channel. Not going to go into it all, but we're just saying that information had a motivation. George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of Pac-12, he's going out there with his messaging. But my goodness. The messaging that UCLA will lose money in the Big Ten versus staying in the Pac-12, you are on the razor's edge of losing your credibility when that is part of your messaging. That is absolutely ridiculous to say that. We're going to go over that. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to just go to John Wilner's tweet, and then we're going to go to a tweet that Brett McMurphy just sent out, which I think just completely just hits the nail on the head and blows away this Pac-12 messaging of today. Let's get into it. John Wilner advertising his podcast, Canzano and Wilner's podcast. Kliavkoff joined the podcast and said UCLA will lose money joining the Big Ten. Nobody in the Pac-12 is leaving for the Big 12. Talks about conference football expansion, playoffs, timeline for the media deal. Go to Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, and listen to that podcast. We're going to center around UCLA losing money to the Big Ten. Okay, be with you in a second here. A lot of stuff is going on today. A lot of bizarre stuff is going on today. Bizarre messaging, really. And that's what this is. It's messaging. People trying to play their leverage. First of all, let's say everything George Kliavkoff says is true in that UCLA would actually lose money in the Big Ten, by joining the Big Ten, which is not true. But let's just say it is true. Should this be coming from the Pac-12 commissioner? I mean, part of the reason why he is saying this, that the UCLA would actually lose money if they join the Big Ten, because he's counting on Cal University and that state system, the border regions, the governor, Newsom, what have you, that whole entourage of people being able to bleed out UCLA, fining them, suspending them, whatever you want to call it, fining them because they're leaving the Big Ten, that UCLA would have to pay some sort of toll tax every year to the California school system, that money would come out of UCLA's athletic department in the tune of what? What are you expecting? $25 million a year? Well, what are you exactly saying here? The Pac-12 commissioner is saying this, that UCLA would actually lose money because of travel, extra travel money. First of all, it is extra travel. We have talked about this at Peak Around the Corner. UCLA and USC being home on an island, it's more time traveling, more time, money, and fly, but not to this extent. You take up California's bleeding, University of California system bleeding, having UCLA pay a toll tax every year, plus travel. You think that's going to make up the difference between what the Pac-12 payouts are going to be and the Big Ten payouts going forward? No way. That's not even close. Come on, guys. Come on, guys and gals. The Big Ten, UCLA is going to make, we don't know the exact number, but as it stands, $75 million a year in the media money, over $100 million in conference payouts. But focus on the $75 million. How much do you think the Pac-12 is actually going to get here in this new media deal? Let's say it's $45 million, which is more than what everyone's saying right now. But let's just give it $45 million. Let's say digital does come in and grab a larger piece of Pac-12 content. Amazon and Apple, whoever, willing to overpay the market value of linear, which is willing to pay the Pac-12. Let's say it's $45 million. That's a $30 million difference. Do you think Cal bleeding UCLA on a toll tax and extra travel costs is going to make up $30 million? Come on. Plus, we've talked about this. Big Ten is creating new revenue streams that are going to be over Pac-12s. We've talked about how these conferences are going to be selling real-time information to sports books. There's going to be other revenue streams being created, which the Big Ten is going to blow away the Pac-12 in the future. There's no way that that UCLA is going to actually lose money joining the Big Ten versus staying in the Pac-12, unless George Kliavkoff is completely expecting the California school system, the state system, and Governor Newsom to get together and absolutely crush UCLA. Crush them in devising a way, going in the California state laws and just saying UCLA, we're going to take out $25 million annually. You have to pay in the California system because how dare you try to better yourself and go to the Big Ten? Wow, what a culture. Unbelievable. Yeah, this is... And for the Pac-12 commission to come out and say that, I mean, UCLA has to be just, they're not, okay, so you say all this in public, Pac-12 commission, there's no way UCLA is staying in the Pac-12. I mean, yeah, there's no way UCLA is staying in the Pac-12. They were never going to, but after this, there's no way. They'll fight this. And what do you think? And let me ask you this. What do you think the Big Ten is thinking right now with George Kliavkoff saying this? Basically, the travel cost is not going to make... There's not going to be a $30 million more in the travel cost to UCLA's athletic program. That is absolutely... And let's say, again, first of all, before we get on to Brett McMurphy's tweet, which is beautiful... if you like this content, please hit the content button. Please subscribe to our channel. It's a very young channel. We would appreciate you hitting the subscription button. And please share the video with your friends and family. Let's get on to Brett McMurphy's tweet here. And he says it, he says it a lot better than I could ever say it. Brett McMurphy, Pac-12's George Kliavkoff tells Kazano and Wilner, no one's going anywhere. If schools were leaving for the Big Ten, they would have left already. He also said he's confident 10 schools left will sign the grant of rights. We put the agreement in front of them. Okay, so he's coming out in front saying no one's going anywhere. If schools were leaving for the Big Ten, they would have left already. That logic, it's absent of logic. That's not how the real world works. You don't say School A isn't in Conference X right now, therefore School A will never be in Conference X. We've shown that logic not to work just in the last 10 years. That's not how realignment works. Just because a school's not in there. You know how many times I said over the years that Oklahoma and Texas were peek around the corner, that Alabama, Oklahoma and Texas were going to keep their exit ramps open, clear, because they were either going to call the Big Ten or the SEC. At some point, they were going to get out of the Big 12 and do that. We gave all the reasons why, the same reasons why USC called the Big Ten. You know how many times people said to me, if Oklahoma and Texas would go to the SEC, it would have happened already. That's not how this works. Not how it works. Let's go to another tweet from Brett McMurphy. McMurphy. Pac-12's George Kliavkoff tells Wilner Kazano, we are sure UCLA is better off financially by staying in the Pac-12 than joining the Big Ten. Kliavkoff said UCLA's travel costs will offset difference in media rights, which is not true at all. But then this is what McMurphy says, ... which is one reason Big Ten will add more from Pac-12. I mean, there it is. There it is. Eventually, the Big Ten is going to extend. They're not going to keep UCLA and USC home on an island. We've talked about this for weeks. I mean, Kliavkoff is basically saying, first of all, the whole travel cost argument is, again, it's not going to cost $30 million more for UCLA to travel for the Big Ten. It's going to cost more. And it's going to be harder on their student athletes. And these are all the motivations why the Big Ten will add more from the Pac. It's going to happen. If it doesn't happen now, it's going to happen in the near future. In the near future. Go back to our episode 52 of earlier today. Go back to all of our episodes. Big Ten just isn't going to add UCLA and USC. And for the Pac-12 commissioner to go out in front of his skis and to say that no one's going to leave. Nobody's leaving. For sure. No one's leaving. Wow. Look, I don't know what to tell you. Guys. I mean, we do not know if the numbers are coming in for the Big Ten to make that expansion happen within this decision window of August 15th and October 15th. They're going to do all they can. We know Big Ten commissioner and many in the Big Ten do not want to keep UCLA, USC home on an island. That was never the idea. That was never the plan. And I can tell you, you go back to episode 52, which we dropped earlier this morning, in regards to what Money Perch is saying in Oregon, saying, we're not signing nothing. Oregon's not signing anything that has teeth to it. So, sign a Pac-12 10 deal, but maybe with 10 schools. Sign it with Amazon or Apple, ESPN. There's not going to be any teeth in that deal. That's what was told to us. Again, leave your comments down in the comment section below the video. I read all your comments. We had to do this episode, emergency episode 54, because this is truly a message war. George Kliavkoff is just putting all this out, saying no one's leaving. UCLA is better off staying with us. Sign of desperation. Sign of absolute desperation. And to be honest, to be transparent with you all, the information that we received from the Oregon Money Perch that happened in episode 52, that was a message sent out to say to Oregon fans, alumni, and basically University of Washington fans can take the same message. That regardless of what happens here, we're doing all that we can to get out of the Pac-12. All that we can. Can you imagine? Can you go back to episode 52 and watch that video? Can you imagine what the University of Oregon and the University of Washington president and their athletic directors and their alumni and their donors, what they're thinking today by hearing this message from the Pac-12 commissioner? UCLA is better off staying in the Pac-12 because they'll actually lose money going to the Big Ten. They know that's full of baloney. They know that. They have met with the Big Ten, right? We know they have met consultants and lawyers. It may not happen in this decision window, but it's going to happen. George Kliavkoff, when he became commissioner, and down the road when he was doing his media blitzkrieg, I said he was a good man in a tough spot. I've completely changed my mind. He's a good man who's in way over his head as Pac-12 commissioner. I know he's got a bad deal. I know he's got a bad hand. But to go out and say UCLA would be better off financially, let's conclude this with, we are sure USC is better off financially by staying in the Pac-12 than joining the Big Ten. That is, you're on the razor's edge of losing your credibility, and boy, you're way over your tip of your skis. Way over. So please, put your comments down in the comments section. If you agree, disagree, what are your thoughts? I read them all. It's very important that you put down your thoughts. I do read them all. We are not caught in our own information logo, in our own silo, in our own loop. We love to hear other people's thoughts on all this information. But man, there's a big message war going on in the Pac-12. Big message war. Big message war. That's what this is all about. So stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Please stick with us. Until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.